Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having a fantastic day today. We're back at it again with Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. And this time I want to talk about Sosiel. He is your cleric. For a lot of teams, he's probably going to be your main healer. And he is absolutely fantastic in the role. Let's dive into the build. So we'll pick a regular warrior picture. And Sosiel is a cleric. More than capable of upholding the honor of their deities in battle, clerics often prove stalwart and capable combatants. Their true strength lies in their capability to draw upon the power of their deities, whether to increase their own and their allies' prowess in battle, to vex their foes with divine magic, or to lend healing to companions in need. As their powers are influenced by their faith, all clerics must focus their worship upon a divine source. And he is human. Okay, and next you choose a deity as a cleric, and Sosiel's deity is Shelyn. Shelyn, also known as the Eternal Rose, the Eternal Maiden, and the Incorruptible, is the goddess of art, beauty, love, and music, and the half-sister of Kuthin. Shelyn focuses just as much attention on internal beauty as external. As aspects of her role as goddess of beauty, Shelyn also promotes the creation of art and the composing and performance of music. Clerics of Shelyn frequently are artists themselves. As the goddess of love, Shelyn encourages the proliferation of that feeling in all its forms. She is not the goddess of sexuality, lust, or fertility, and makes a very clear distinction between love and sexuality, although she does not in any way discourage erotic love. The few paladins who worship her practice courtly love. All right, and she gets the domains of air, charm, good, luck, and protection, and her favorite weapon is the glaive. All right, select her. Next, he's a good cleric, so he channels positive energy. And he has two domains. So the first domain is good. You have pledged your life and soul to goodness and purity. So you automatically get Touch of Good, which grants a sacred bonus on attack rolls, skill checks, ability checks, and saving throws equal to half your level. And then at level 8, gets access to Holy Lance, which you can give your weapon you touch the holy special weapon quality for a number of rounds equal to half your level in the class to give you access to this domain. Click next. And then the next domain gets also is Charm. You can baffle and befuddle foes with a touch or a smile, and your beauty and grace are divine. You automatically get Dazed Touch, which can cause a living creature to become dazed for 1 round as a melee touch attack. You also get Charming Smile. At 8th level, you can cast Charm Person as a swift action with a DC of 10 plus half your level in the class that gave you access to this domain, plus your Wisdom modifier. All right, and for his attributes, 16 on strength, 10 on dexterity, 14 on constitution, 10 on intelligence, 14 on charisma, and actually we'll bring this to wisdom. Okay, so we can't perfectly mirror the stats. Sosiel has a 16 on strength, 10 on dexterity, 14 on constitution, 10 on intelligence, 19 on wisdom, 14 on charisma. And then for skills, he automatically gets knowledge world, knowledge arcana, religion, and persuasion. You can choose whichever one of these you want. I, for the most part, stick with having persuasion on my main characters. It's more than likely you'll need it. And you never know when you'll be in a situation where you're without your party members. Religion is also something that's kind of rare. So actually, I would definitely recommend that you level them up in that. But whatever your team needs. All right, and for his first feat, he goes Selective Channel. Whenever you channel positive energy to heal the living or channel negative energy to heal the undead, you do not affect enemies. And for the exact opposite, you do not affect allies. And then for the feat after that, he chooses Extra Channel. You can channel energy 2 additional times per day. For his background, he is an acolyte. Acolyte adds persuasion and religion to the list of her class skills. She can also use her wisdom instead of charisma while attempting persuasion checks. Okay, and I think is he lawful good or neutral good? I can't remember. He's good. Somewhere there. And brave or pious. Yeah. All right. I don't think there's anything I need to explain here. This is all pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. Move on. All right, level 2. Next. Level 3. Next. Now he gets to select another feat. And they have him select toughness. He's level 6 before you finally get him. You gain +3 hit points. For every hit die you possess beyond 3, you gain an additional hit point. And we'll go through the spells at the end. Level 3. I would definitely recommend you stick with leveling up wisdom. 4. Another feat. And he gets medium armor focus. The AC bonus granted by any medium armor that you equip increases by 1. All right, level 7. You're finally at the point that you want to start figuring out what you want to do with Sosiel. Despite the fact that he gets the charm domain, I would highly recommend against specializing in enchantment. And when we go through the spells, I'll explain why. So I would recommend you just go with the old standby evocation. Clerics get a lot of nice evocation spells that deal holy damage, bypassing a lot of the defenses that enemies have you'll come up against. All right, so then we are at level 8. I would recommend that you stick with wisdom. Get the skills. All right, and then for your level 9 feat, you can come down here. Greater spell focus, evocation. Level 10. Get your skills, keep going. For your level 11 feat, I would recommend you go down here and go ahead and get spell penetration. Skills. And then greater spell penetration. Level 15. All right, and when we scroll down here, if you wanted to, you could try to specialize in something else. Because you are a cleric, you're going to have a wide array of powers that you'll have access to. But honestly, I feel like outside of evocation, the thing you're going to use the most is conjuration. And there's no reason that you need to focus in conjuration. Your heals will do plenty. They will be able to help your party without needing to specialize in that. So I would recommend going spell specialization and then choosing whatever you feel like you use most. As you probably realize by now, I'm a huge fan of Hellfire Ray, but pretty much any evocation power here that you use on a regular basis will do. Then take that up to 20. Spell specialization. Confirm whichever one you're using the most. Critical focus. You're trained in the art of causing pain. You receive a +4 circumstance bonus on attack rolls made to confirm critical hits. And spell specialization. I think I still stick with Hellfire Ray. Yeah, still stick with Hellfire Ray here. All right, and for our first mythic ability, I would go with Boundless Healing. Your healing is no longer affected by common limitations. Whenever you cast a Cure Wound spell or another healing spell, it becomes reach as though using the reach spell feature. Also, the amount of hit points it now restores depends entirely on your caster level and disregards any limits in the original spell. Reach spell. You can alter a spell within a range of touch, close, or medium to increase its range by 1 range category using the following order: touch, close, medium, and long. Like I said before, I think Sosiel will probably be your main healer. if he's going to be up front, more than likely, you want to make sure that no matter where a person is, he can go ahead and heal them quickly. And this also increases the power of his heals. So to me, it's a no brainer. Now, for your first mythic feat, you could come down to mythic channeling, which increases the amount of energy you heal or kill with channel energy, but it's based upon your charisma bonus, which for Sosiel, if you've been following this build, it's only 2, so you get twice your charisma bonus, so you get an extra 4. I don't think that's really worth it. I would say just come into extra mythic ability and go ahead and get abundant casting. So you get 4 more cast of your first, second, and third levels, which will also in turn give you more healing abilities. Since he's a good cleric, he's automatically able to change any spell he has into a healing spell. And then for his next mythic ability, I would say go ahead and go down to improved abundant casting. If you're using him as your main healer and for whatever reason you're just finding his heals are not cutting it, you could come into impossible domain and go ahead and select the healing domain for him, which at 6th level would make all of his cure spells treated as if they are empowered, increasing the amount of damage healed by 50%. So obviously that's a huge boost to how much he's able to heal. But in my experience, it's not necessary. Even with the setup as is, he will do just fine as your main healer. So I will go ahead and get improved abundant casting. All right, and for his next mythic feat, I will go ahead and get spell penetration. Add half your mythic rank to caster level checks to overcome spell resistance. If you have greater spell penetration, add your full mythic rank instead. And then for the last mythic ability I can show you, go ahead and get greater abundant casting. Like I've said before, you right after this, you should be hitting level 7. So it's worth it to go ahead and just take it now. And then for his very last feat, I'd go ahead and go into spell focus and choose evocation. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the cleric spell book. So something to understand, he has the good and charm domain, right? Now you get, as a cleric, you get a domain slot, and then you have specific domain powers you can use, such as hideous laughter, right? This is an enchantment spell, and you get it specifically because you have the charm domain. But the thing about these domain spells is, if it's part of the, if it's a spell the cleric would have gotten regardless, you can fill up all your slots with it. But if it's a spell you only got because of the specific domain you picked, you can only stick it in a domain slot. And for a lot of the best charm spells, they're only in that charm domain and you can only select them once. So, for example, at level, what is it? At level 3, because you have charm, you get the enchantment power prayer, right? And it's one of your domain spells. You can put it in this domain slot. However, clerics get prayer regardless, even if they had neither one of these domains. Because of that, you could fill up all your slots with it if you wanted to. Whereas if you go up to, let's say, 7th level, insanity is a great enchantment power. It'll allow you to put it in your domain slot, but you can't put it anywhere else, which means that for enchantment, the very best powers that you get in this cleric build, all of them you would only be able to use once per rest. To me, that's garbage. That is not worth building around at all, which is why I said, even though you don't have domains that particularly give you good evocation domain powers, it's still worth it to just go ahead and specialize in evocation because that's where the good stuff is at. So in level 1, most of this stuff you'll stop using soon, but Bless gives you a +1 morale bonus on attack rolls, so that's nice. Remember that you automatically get access to healing spells because you're a good cleric, so you do not need to put them in your slots. anything you put in here, while you're in practice, while you're going around, there'll be a little up arrow where you can click it and cast any healing spell that you want. Magic weapon, +1 enhancement bonus on attack and damage rolls. Those are very good early game spells. Moving on to level 2. Protection from evil, communal is very, very good as well. Obviously, you're going to run into a lot of enemies that are evil, and this is good protection from them. Hideous Laughter is also a great spell. It's just not great if you can only cast it once. Moving on to level 3, Prayer is something that I cast all the time. +1 luck bonus on attack rolls, weapon damage, saves, and skill checks for your party, while foes get a -1 penalty. So very good stuff. Delay poison, communal. There are definitely some nasty enemies that'll throw poison on you. So you want to make sure you have at least one person who can put this on, and it stays on for an hour. So you also have remove blindness, which usually I don't slot. Usually I just have a couple of scrolls that allows me to do that. Resist energy, communal, and the protection from energy, communal, are great ways to protect yourself from energy damage. Animated Dead, even if you don't particularly care for necromancy, is still just a great summon and a great way to distract enemies. Archon's Aura gives you an aura around yourself that creates a -2 penalty to attack rolls and saving throws and to armor class for the 1 minute per level duration of the spell. So it's a great way to kind of naturally debuff everybody's around you. And considering Sosiel is going to be an armor and have a two-handed weapon and be up close, this makes a lot of sense. Okay, here at level 4, for those of you who play Kingmaker, freedom of movement was something that I needed all the time that I never used in the beta. I have finished the entire beta all through Act 4, and never once did I have to use this power. But who knows what the main game would be like. Greater Magic Weapon is absolutely fantastic. +1 enhancement for per 4 character levels. Holy Smite is a great evocation power. You draw down holy power to smite your enemies. Only evil and neutral characters are harmed by it, and it does 1d8 points of damage per 2 caster levels. The fact that it's holy makes it absolutely amazing. Bypass a lot of that damage resistance. Restoration is something you want to use a lot to clear out ability damage. And Shield of Dawn is nice considering Sosiel's up front. He will get hit sometimes. So having this is a way to just do some automatic extra damage. Moving on to level 5. Transmutation Angelic Aspect is really nice from you. Gain a +2 deflection bonus to AC and a +2 bonus on saves. Again, if you have Sosiel up close and in the middle of the action, it could be nice to be able to use this. Flame Strike hits all creatures in a 10-foot burst, doing 1d6 points of damage per caster level, up to 15d6. So a great evocation power you can use against a lot of enemies. You have the option of Sacred Nimbus, where it will affect any evil creature striking it. Great stuff. Spell Resistance is really nice. It gives spell resistance equal to 12 plus your caster level, but just keep in mind it's only for one person. Again, I prefer to use communal versions of powers. Dominate Person is, again, an enhancement power that's really nice, but you can only use it once. But you can make any humanoid creature fight on your side as if it was an ally. At level 6, Heal is absolutely fantastic. Heal enables you to channel positive energy into a creature to wipe away injury and afflictions. It immediately ends any and all of the following reverse conditions: ability damage, blinded, confused, dazed, dazzled, diseased, exhausted, fatigued, nauseated, poisoned, sickened, and stunned. And it also cures, more than likely, your guy all the way up to the top. So it's very, very nice. Also, it's a healing spell that is not automatically available to you just because you're a good cleric. So Cure Moderate Wounds will be available to you, but Heal is a separate power. You have to manually slot that if you want to be able to use it. In addition to that, Blade Barrier affects all creatures in a 60-foot burst, so it can be hard to place it in a way where it doesn't affect your party members, but if you can, it's really nice. Of course, you all know I love Hellfire Ray. You get more rays as you level up, and they do up to 15d6 damage. Half of that damage is unholy power. So again, great way to get past defenses. Elemental Assessor does a bunch of different elemental damage, and then whichever one is most effective applies that damage again. So another fantastic option. And true seeing communal. There's a lot of enemies in this game that use blur, displacement, invisibility, anything that they can to make it harder for you to be able to hit them. True seeing will cut through all of that and makes it much easier for your party members to deal with those type of enemies. Also, dispel magic, greater. Sometimes it's really nice to just tear down some really nasty buffs off an enemy creature to make them easier to deal with as well. Moving on to level 7, you've got Insanity, which is really, really nice. But again, you can only cast it once, so your mileage may vary. Holy Ward is an evocation power that's really, really nice as well. You can use it on enemies within a 40-foot burst, only affects enemies and only non-good creatures. If the creature's HD is up to your castle level -1, it is blinded. -5, it's paralyzed and blinded. -10, it's killed, paralyzed, and blinded. So absolutely fantastic to be able to use it. You also have Resurrection. Your party members, of course, should not be flat out dying, but if they are, you can use Resurrection, but it will cost you 2 diamonds. Jolting Portent. So the creature you designate is surrounded by a glowing red aura of vengeful fate. Once per round, when the target makes an attack or casts a spell, it must succeed at a fortitude saving throw, or it'll take 4d6 plus your wisdom modifier and electricity damage. Your wisdom modifier should be very nice, so this is a nice spell to be able to use. Restoration Greater. That'll be plenty of times where you're going to be dealing with ability damage or ability point issues, and Restoration Greater will definitely be a great option to be able to handle that. It does cost diamond dust 10, so just be careful about that. Moving on to level 8. Holy Aura is absolutely fantastic. So it's 1 round per level. Each warded creature gains a +4 deflection bonus to AC and a +4 resistant bonus on save. Unlike protection from evil, this benefit applies against all attacks, not just against attacks by evil creatures. And each warded creature gains spell resistance 25 against evil spells and spells cast by evil creatures. This spell is absolutely essential in Act 4. There are so many enemies that are trying to drive you insane, confuse you, do all sorts of crazy things. Like, the difference between having this spell on and not having it on is night and day. So definitely want to be able to pick that up if you can. Storm Bolts is really nice, but as I mentioned before, the AI won't automatically use this power. The AI will not ensure that you're around an enemy when this power activates. So you have to be careful about just right-clicking on it and letting your character use it automatically. With Sosiel, there's a little less risk because he should be right up front anyway. So when it pops off, more than likely you'll have an enemy around him. But just make sure you're being aware and recognize that if he's all the way in the back and still just standing around spamming this over and over again for no reason. Firestorm is also fantastic. It affects enemies in a 40-foot burst and does up to 20d6 damage. So really nice option. And Angelic Aspect Greater. It just takes the things of Angelic Aspect and does it to an even greater degree. So very good stuff. And then finally, level 9, you have Dominate Monster, which again is really nice, but you're only going to be able to use it once. You have Overwhelming Presence, which affects enemies in a 30-foot burst, and your presence inspires incredible awe in those nearby. A creature that fails to save against the spell falls to the ground and prostrates itself before you, believing it bows before divine presence. So basically, you have to get all the way to level 9 before you get a really, really great enchantment power that you can spam on a consistent basis. So yeah, it's not all that great. Heal mass version for your party. So obviously this is a great healing option for you. You probably want to slot one of these in. And then Winds of Vengeance. You surround yourself with a buffeting shroud of supernatural tornado force winds. These winds grant you a fly speed of 60 feet with perfect maneuverability. Neither your armor nor your load affects this fly speed. In addition, when a creature hits you with a melee attack, you can shape your winds so they lash out at that creature as an immediate action. The creature must make a fortitude save or take 5d8 points of bludgeoning damage and be knocked prone. On a failed save, huge flying creatures are checked and large size or smalling flying creatures are blown away instead of knocked prone. And it also grants you total concealment against ranged attacks. Gases and most gases breath of weapons cannot pass through the winds. So nice way to both give him some protection and also do something that will lash out at other enemies. And finally, conjuration, being able to just throw out an extra monster when in a really tough battle is always nice, but I don't feel like Sosiel is necessarily a guy who should be doing that, but you could decide based upon your team if you want to throw in a couple of summon monster spells for him. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, he's got all the slots he needs to be able to throw out as much damage, as much healing, as much crowd control as you could possibly want. And if you build him up right, I think he's a really, really solid character. So that's the build. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think? Is this the Sosiel build that you would move forward with? Do you have some better ideas about what could have been done with them? Let me know down in the comments. Leave me a like, please, if you enjoyed the content, and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you in the next video. Take care.